I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay my respects to all our elders, past and present, and emerging leaders and elders. And I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islands peoples.
And welcome to another podcast of Kunjur Men's Group. This is our second podcast. We're naming this one here Men's Group Yarn Session. And what it basically is what we talk about in our meetings. We have our meetings here in Cairns at a place called Yirinji Community Centre, and we have it every Wednesday night at 6:30. So we want to basically bring the Yarn Centre here to the podcast, and what we talk about, how it benefits us, what are the things and issues that are affecting us individually, how we can start progressing in our well-being. So there's many issues that we cover within our meetings. So what I'll do now is I'll start introducing you to some of the members who attend these meetings. And on my left here, Yabba.
My name is Bernie Singleton, and my mob are Hurricane Saltwater Jabberguy, Cairns. So, yeah.
In the middle.
My name is AJ. I'm Fijian, and I live here in Cairns now. I'm a member of this men's group.
Yeah, and my name is Edward. I also live in Cairns as well. I'm mob are Juru and a whole stack of other places I'm from as well. Yeah.
And of course, my name is Graham Brady. Gogo Yalanji. All part of the same situation. That is why we as men need to talk. And that is one of the subject factors in having our yarn session. One of the major ones that we address is our well-being. And within our well-being, there are many factors. And how we approach this within the yarn circle, we still maintain that traditional yarn circle for the benefit of communication. We carry on our communication as men should, and being respectful to one another, and also being very discreet and confidential. So what is said within the circle does not leave the circle. It remains there, because a lot of our meetings and yarn circle talks are very sensitive. So we might, for the listeners, describe how we conduct this. And the first way that we sort of get the meeting started is that we have somebody within the circle, the group, to give a welcome. And the welcome can come in many forms. It can come in the form of a poem, or somebody that would like to speak their language on something that's meaningful. We actually get our brother, my big brother here, Bernie Singleton, to say welcome to country. It can come in the form of a song. So we give the opportunity a wide scope on welcoming each other. It's not so much a welcoming to the meeting, it's a welcoming among men. So we want to remain and keep that tradition. And after the welcoming, we talk about ourselves. And the way we do it, we call it our check-in. And our check-in goes something like this. It goes around the circle. Anybody can start it. It could start from the youngest of the group or the oldest of the group. And what they would say is this. What was my ups? What brought me up for that day or that week since our last meeting? And what brought me down? What are we grateful for? What are we progressing to? And how we are grateful. So we have these main points. So with the men that I have here with me, I'll probably start with Edward on my far right here. When we have our check-ins, what would you describe as when you talk about yourself? What is your ups? What is your downs? What are you grateful for? And what are you progressing towards? How would you say that you would feel when you're ready to talk?
Well, I guess it's a good opportunity to just, those questions sort of encapsulates, a lot of areas in my life that I feel I do need to talk about. And it's not often, and we talked about this last night, it's not often that we celebrate wins. And it gives me an opportunity to reflect on myself, especially when other men are talking. It's sort of like, oh, that's right, actually, I did something similar. I didn't think about it that way. So it brings that opportunity to reflect on my own self, which I don't do at all, other than when we're at men's group. So it's important that I attend to be able to sort of just reflect on my own life and my own progress. Because I just don't have time. I'm too busy saving the world, out there in the community, helping everybody else. And it's good too. It's a really thoughtful process as well, because the men are listening and engaging and give advice if they feel they want to, which is great, because I love hearing from other fellas about, and just hearing from other brothers and uncles and stuff, because in my family are dominated by all girls, so we've got all sisters everywhere. So I look for that brotherhood in the community, and I'm glad that I found this men's group so that I can do those conversations that I need to with them check-ins in particular.
Good. Do you find the men's group and the meetings that we have, the yarn circle, a safe place?
Oh yeah, definitely. Always has been, and if it was, then you'd definitely be hearing from me. But no, it is definitely a safe place. Just the environment, it's in the evening, and this is the best part of the year to have men's group, is that it's getting nice and cool, the sky is clear, and that fire is there, and we're all just looking at that fire and just yarning to that fire. It's just, and just, everyone's being vulnerable, and when everyone's being vulnerable, we're building that relationship with one another, because that's what a good relationship is, so I definitely feel safe to sort of spin my yarns there with everybody.
AJ, tell the people where you from and how you come to find out about Kunduru Men's Group.
Well, for many years I live in Sydney, and then I moved here to Cairns like 3 years ago, or 4, and I always looking for a group so I can fit in. I got a church group, it doesn't. So, and then I met a brother from New Zealand. He's a white Kiwi boy. So he said, hey, come with me to this indigenous group. So he saw it on Facebook, so we came together. So now he's left back to New Zealand, so I'm still there with the group. So, and I found out that this group is so helpful, even for me personally. And because in my Fijian background, we don't really have this kind of group that men sit together and talk about issue that's happening all over home, in our own personal life. We don't have those kind of group. And usually even if somebody have issue, they don't talk about it. See, they keep to themselves. And when things go wrong, it blows up. Someone end up in jail. That's usually happen a lot. And I know a lot of my Fijian friends that they have issue. They live in Sydney. They've been in and out of jail because of domestic violence. because they don't have this kind of group to talk about what's a problem they have at home. And I'm happy that I met this Kiwi guy that brought me to this group, and I'm still here now, and I'm enjoying myself here, and I feel safe. And what I talk about with you guys, and nobody else knows, and I don't even talk about it to my family because they're all girls, and they have different views. So for me, the way I say it, if I say it, I'm wrong, so they're right. So I rather talk about with you guys because you guys will understand.
Yeah, it's a pity that sometimes men are outnumbered in situations like that.
Yeah.
Do you see the Aboriginal way how we meet together? Is it similar to Fijian people's way?
Yeah, similar. Fijian men hang out together, just like you guys. Aboriginal people, you always hang out together. That's all. Fijian people hang out together as a man hang out together. But instead of we talking about this, we sit around a cover bowl, see, and tell stories, and we bring guitars and sing. But even that's it. But no one talks about this kind of stuff that's happening in our own personal life. It's like a taboo to it. See? They don't talk about it.
Bernie,
Okay.
when you come to the men's group, how do you see the interaction between us? When you sit back and watch everybody tell their story, how does it make you feel?
Well, I feel real good. But AJ, I've adopted you, so you're right. You can't marry now.
There you go. You're one of the mob, in other words.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
thank
adopted.
you.
But what you say in the Graham, like when I like even last night we're sitting down there and I was talking to that young fella beside me, and I said, young fella, if you what we talk about here stops you, but if you want to talk to one of us here, you can ring BJ or Casey, and you can say, well, I wouldn't mind getting Graham's number or Bernie's number, or one of us. You could just mention the name, but I wouldn't mind sitting down yarning with him. Well, they'll do that, and then maybe we don't talk at the meeting there, but maybe we meet somewhere in town and have a coffee or something. We can do things like that, and I said, a lot of the people around here now, not only young people but old people, we've got issues with, and a lot of it could be domestic violence. It's with drug and alcohol issues, and people, getting them bad thoughts in their head where they want to, suicide and all this.
Yeah.
And so, we've got to try and make everyone feel comfortable there. And I keep saying, whatever we talk about here stops here, confidential. And so we, hopefully, everyone, I'll say it again, that we meet every Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30, down at Edinji Hall, that's next door to Kangaroos football there. And, come along and sit down and talk with us. And, we usually, I went to one men's group somewhere else, and all they did was exercise, and that was good. But I wanted to join a men's group where I could sit down and, talk with people. We can exercise outside, walk around, do a bit of exercise, whatever. But then we can sit down and have a cup of tea and a bit of a bite, and sit down yarn, and then it could be sit down yarn as a group, which we do, but then you could go and sit down next to somebody and just say, which way, bro, are you right? And then
I think the sensitivity of what's being brought out when we have our group meetings, I think it opens us up to the empathy, because I think we all need that empathetic shoulder. You know, the ones that are giving the empathy and the ones that's receiving the empathy. I see these things being two-way. And the beauty of our gathering has really struck me in the last meeting that we had. And that's why when I done my check-in, I spoke about the moment in time that I'm experiencing right at this meeting, and how we all listen to one another, and how we genuinely were trying to grasp their pain, their happiness, their loss, grief, and what they can look forward to. So there is hope involved in all these types of yarn, because bearing in mind, a yarn can go anywhere. It does not stay on one subject, doesn't it? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Edward, yes.
Yeah, it's has that flexibility, and we see that every week. It's always something new, but it's also something that we're all familiar with as well, which is great with the group, because we have a variety of men, different ages, so that wherever that yarn goes, it might sit with this person or it might sit with that person. That get support from any one of us, you know, and we're grateful to have you elders part of the group, because you've got that experience, you know, and a lot of the boys just need, you know, even if it's not, they just, I notice that a lot of the young fellas just enjoy sitting with you and just listening to your voice and being in your presence. I've had a lot of feedback from some of the young fellas over the years that when you walk into the room, they one time sit up. And that's just, it's just a cultural thing. It's a natural thing that, you know, when we have our men step up, that our boys fall into place. And I find that, it's really rewarding to have a dynamic group, because that yarn can go anywhere for any reason. Yeah. Yeah,
and it has, sometimes it builds a life of its own, as with any sorts of conversations. We talk about the social narrative that exists at this moment, but when men who are heavily in thought, this is the way I try to analyze these things, because I try to capture the thought of what's being spoken to me. So this might sound a little bit clinical, but that's the way I approach it, as what's been spoken to me from this person here. I probably just met him. I probably know him for a long time. And maybe this person has issues that he has kept within himself for a very long time, or a short time, or it's too sensitive for him to talk about it. So that's what I feel. I sort of, we call it in our language, Gogo Yalan, we call it wawo. That wawo, probably the way to express that in white fella terms is everybody holds an aura. And you can pick up on somebody's feeling. And I think when we have these meetings, these feelings come with it. It was very powerful for that last meeting. Like, we had many meetings, but I particularly picked the last meeting that we had as one real important turning point.
Last night or last week?
Last night meeting. That was our last meeting. I'll just say that the one that just went. Yeah, last night's meeting. Yeah. And because we've been having a lot of these meetings for over 4 years now, close on to 4 years it's coming up, it has gradually brought itself out into a platform, not where we just only feel comfortable to talk about the real sensitive things, but also we come there to look for answers as well. Would you say that, brother?
Yeah, well, on top of it too, like we've formed this partnership, and with Dig. That's what deadly
Indigenous kids doing good.
Oh,
Yes.
That's another word, eh? Deadly.
Look, you got me there, but
Inspiring.
Inspiring.
You got it.
You're doing good. I thought it was.
We lift up now.
But
You got
I mean, like, if we can work with Dig to help them to fix up them young ones, well then we as a men's group we can sort of target the father too, maybe get the father to join them, and hopefully try and work something with them to hey bro, you brought this kid into the world, you need to look after him, yeah. You can't just bring him in the world and dump him. I don't know. It's and I got a feeling, this morning with the meeting we had with the local minister, Craig Crawford, that maybe we'll get more funding that we could start working out, with the different groups in Cairns. I think we need to work with the different groups as well as getting our men together every Wednesday night. What do you reckon?
What do you reckon, AJ?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You get men together every Wednesday night, and like kids, they can be involved in. Come to the men's group. I mean, like these young.
We've got one right here, Nubs.
Yeah,
Yes,
and he was
at
good.
our men's group, and we might get him in to say something if he feels.
No, but
up
he
to
did.
it?
He did get up and talk for us.
No,
Yeah.
today.
No,
In-
that was
in the podcast?
Yeah. Well, today, but that was last week, eh?
Last night.
Last
Yeah,
night.
yeah, yeah.
I thought it was last week. But he got up and talked, and
That's
it
right.
it was good hearing him
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
I suppose that's a testament to the group that he felt comfortable enough to yarn, and it was really, really good to see.
Yeah, it was
Like,
good.
he shared his heart, he shared some of the issues, and then the men just jumped on it straight away and just encouraged him straight away.
Yeah.
And some really good advice was given from everybody in the group.
I tried to get him to dance, but he wouldn't dance for us.
He might dance
Next
one
time.
day, on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Next time.
And the kids, when they come, they learn from us older people, and we learn from them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
work together,
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
we comfortable with each other,
Mm.
Well,
Right.
we all, most of us around here we got kids, boys and girls.
Brother Bernie, you said something really out of its shell, out of the box last night. You said it like this, if I can remember. You said, if you hear us, and it might sound wrong, even though we are older people.
Yeah.
And you got respect for older people. If it sounds wrong to you, tell us.
Tell us.
Yeah.
What you wanna talk a little bit about that one?
Well, I was just sort of trying to get them young ones there, like, when elders speak, usually don't say nothing,
You have to listen.
But at this meeting, we're all there to. We all got our issues, and we all trying to work our own issues out, and sometimes we got the same thing. But you young ones here now, I just want you to know that if you're not happy with something I'm saying or one of us elders are saying, please, talk up, tell us, and so at least we know, what issues you got, and then maybe we can work together and sort that out. It might be my issue, might be yours, but at the meeting it's ours, so we got to try and work around it.
And that probably brings us to a next talking point. Is we have Kunjuru has been active in trying to create projects, trying to create activities such as camps, cooking master classes, to keep that whole way of how we prepare our food, what foods are available to us in that particular area, and how we can still use the old cooking technique of cooking underground. We all know it like as cupmari. Everybody got their own different language name to that. You do the same similar one in Fiji?
We call lovo.
Lovo.
Lovo. L-O-V-O. You dig
Lovo.
ground and you bury your food underground.
But ours tastes better than yours, sir.
There's something of the next masterclass.
Yes.
Fiji against Australia. we'll take that there. And
I couldn't resist that. Sorry.
No, that's a good one. And we try to expand, as you were saying, Brother Bernie, to the younger ones, how we can use the contact program that Kunjul is trying to get together, framework that in partnership with DIG and the younger people. It's not just targeting the ones who are delinquent or who are in crisis. It's open to all scopes of young ones who want to participate. But because of the dynamics of younger people these days, and what you said, and I'll actually bring this together as a double type of talk, is that it's good for us old people to really know the mind of young people.
But on top of it too, like by us working with them young ones, we can take them bush and teach them culture. Like, like how to, make, spears and boomerang, all these different.
And that's a double exchange thing, and they're part of the activities of Kunjul, and we want to continue these things.
But it's their culture, and they should,
and they got to know it.
They should know it. They should learn it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's valuable. But there's also another culture. It's called the 21st century culture. Mm-hmm. And we don't really know that one. But we get left behind, you reckon? Eh?
It's called iPhone.
iPhone, yes, of course.
And tablets, but not Panadol,
No. But
them young ones will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I struggle with it. Don't you worry, I was given a work phone and I'm still working it out. So that's in working job in progress, work in progress. Mm-hmm. But when I mentioned 21st century Aboriginal and Island people, I think that was one of our discussions early in our formation, Edward. What are we made up to be now? Are our traditional ways sort of put aside and then we live a modern life? Or do we combine the two? Or do we say, pick and choose? Yeah, I'll take a little bit from the traditional, add it to the modern and create a whole new dynamics.
Yeah, I think that's a very complex question.
It is, yeah.
Just because I find a lot of our young people never grew up, and some of their parents never grew up culturally. They've grown up in Cairns or in the city, and although they identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait or possibly even Fijian, Kukanan and all that, but their culture is what's around them now, and the values are where they live. If we lived in community or back in the islands, our cultures, we live and breathe culture every single day, and that's where we learn it. But being in the city, it's definitely difficult, and it's probably not even valued as what we would want our young people to value. But their values are different. That's sort of where we've got to try and, introduce them to culture, and it's really up to them if they take it on or not. If their parents value it, I'm sure their kids will value it as well. Yeah. But if the parents are lost in society, our young people are lost in society, and which is why this group is important, to introduce, those principles, some of those values. And it's up to us to sort of, how do we mix culture with, contemporary lifestyle, this Western lifestyle. And I guess that's where we're trying to navigate. And that's exactly what you're saying. We need to learn from our young people. Yeah. We need to meet them where they are, to be able to communicate with them, to engage with them. But I guess the point of it is to help them and change them. and help make sure they have a better outlook on life. So it is a complicated question, but it's definitely something that we're not shy of talking about and getting in the middle of. And
That's
so we're on that
very
journey.
good point there. You know, like our kids today, like they're different to how we grew up. You know, we grew up, you know, going bush and hunting and, you know, learning about, you know, culture, about food and, you know, all this. And today, you know, like our kids, the technology today it's about iPhones and, you know, the internet and all that sort of thing. But how can we combine somehow, work it out that they both confident in both cultures somehow? I don't know.
Yeah.
We gotta,
We're on that
you
journey.
know, try and work that out so that they,
Sure,
they get. And I think if we can teach them kids that, you know, respect yourself first and respect your elders and, you know, respect everybody, you know, and something like that. If we can get along that line, would be really good.
Yeah, it would be a good place to start with them.
And this is always good, even in our small yarn here, you know, with 4 of us. This could be a talking point for the next meeting to say that we brought up these things, talking about it just as a small group, 4 of us here on a podcast. So we can expand on things that that could come up daily or weekly. And I think that's where the expansion of using both traditional culture, modern day culture, we, you know, bearing in mind, we all communicate in English, yet some of us still know that old language, and we keep that, still maintain that one. And there is also another language, and that language probably could be classified as a new technical language built around that. So language in itself is ever changing. So where we see 21st century indigenous peoples of the world, we could bring in the world now, that the whole thing is evolving into something, I don't know. I can't say it's going to be good or going to be bad, but there's obviously an evolution happening there. But I suppose we'd probably go on to this point of call. And I think you'd like this one here too, Bernie. What do you think benefits us? What does benefit coming to these meetings, talking these issues out, analysing these issues, trying to make sense of how things are interwoven? What is the benefits that we are looking for?
Well, you know, like I'd want to, you know, try and tell our kids, tell the young ones, and even some of the young men that come to our, you know, the youth that come to our meetings, they should be very proud that, you know, we belong to a culture that's the oldest living culture in the world, you know, Aboriginal culture in Australia. And how do we try and combine like yesterday's world with today's and sort of live in both, but, you know, live in a good way, not this bad way that, you know, a lot of our people, the road they're going on, we're going to try and turn them around. And if we can instill some sort of pride, you know, to our young ones about who they are, and maybe that's a start that, you know, they can start walk tall, you know, and head high, you know, and so on.
How you see that as a benefit?
Yeah.
It's like a young and old exchange.
Well, if we can talk to them, tell them about our country and about our culture, maybe, you know, you should be very proud, young fella, you know, and how are we going to work? How are we going to make this work today?
Yeah.
You know, we can talk with them and say, you know, what's your main problem? You know, when I was a kid, my problem was this, you know, I can tell them. And now, when as an adult, you know, but there was a different era. Now today, you know, different again. And so I don't know what you're facing, in your everyday life, but talk to us, tell us. Let's see what we can do together.
Yeah, I think that one of the benefits also, going back to your point, Uncle, about the different languages. So obviously we've got different members of the group that talk different languages, and a lot of us talk, well, majority of us talk English as well. But I think one thing that never changes, that Indigenous people pick up on all the time, is that body language. And so when men come, they don't have to really talk a lot, but we can feel that they're in pain, and I think that's one of the biggest supporters that we understand. We can read you when you walk into the room that something's not right, and we accept and embrace you. And when you're ready, you yarn however words you want to use. But body language is a big language that has always been with us. We can and will never leave us. So we can read that language with anyone that walks in the room, I guess.
And that is an unseen benefit, because it's not just focused or being accepted by one. There's actually a group benefit with that happening.
Oh yeah.
Because what that good man that we all follow, we call him Jesus, the Christ. He says, "Love your neighbor," and I think we practice that.
Oh yeah.
At our meetings.
Yeah, definitely.
And that benefit alone stimulates, activates, and brings out the best in anybody, doesn't it?
Which brings in Uncle's point there, Uncle Benny, your point. We've got to heal the man before he can start to achieve things in his life. Because our men are broken and they're not heard, and they're rejected. But in this space, in Kunja spaces, we want to bring that healing to them. So when they leave the group, they're leaving more empowered. They're leaving feeling connected and accepted. As an answer to a lot of their issues is what we kind of want to bring to the group. And we don't just want it to be on the Wednesday night. We're going to be doing the camps, which will solidify a lot of good relationships that these men need to have, but also opportunity for them to explore themselves. And, when you sit around that campfire in the middle of the night, that yarn comes out, but we want to create that opportunity with these camps.
Look at the sky, see the
That's
moon.
it. And none of them issues are there at the camp. It's just you and yourself.
And then rain would come and then muck us up.
Yeah. That's it.
But good way, we all find a way to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
Move over it.
I got to sort of bring something in,
You had to. We got to, because joking between us and bringing out the lighter side of our existence as human beings, I suppose we need to bring in the human being factor. Is that sometimes we got to make light of a bad situation, eh?
If we don't laugh, we'll cry.
My word.
So I think we're better off laughing.
I think we are too.
Awesome.
Yes. AJ, what has benefited you?
Oh yeah, as you said about Jesus Christ, because see, for me, when we come to the group, we talk about it. I thought about the teaching of the Bible.
Yes.
And that is to think about, because he was a king that he served for the people. I think because we are men, we're supposed to be served. We serve each other, and we serve our family. We get in our mantra. We say we are leaders to our family, to our community. So that exactly, we serve our family, we serve our community. That's a benefit of it. We show them that we can do this, and they learn from us. Our family learn from us, for the man, and also the community will learn from us, because we're showing it to them.
That's really good. Would you like to bring up our mantra on your phone? We have a mantra. We've been saying it for a long time, but like all ones, we might forget a couple of words. But within our meetings, we discuss the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. We process the good and the bad along with the unexpected. But the most important thing I think that draws us together is love for one another. And when we finish our meetings, we finish on a good note. And we have developed a mantra. And I might just get Edward here. And this is the way we do it. We have one person that reads the lines, and the group repeats after them. So to finish this podcast here, I'd like to thank Bernie on my left, Bernie Singleton Senior. AJ, what's your full name?
My Fijian name is
Yes.
Osea Kulan. That's traditional name, Fijian.
Thank you, my brother. And we have Edward Lampton.
Can't find it.
Uncle Benny, I got it.
And we want to end off now with our mantra. So take it away, Edward.
All right. I will from this day know that I am worthy,
know that I am worthy,
that I am respected,
that I am respected,
and that I have a role to play,
and that I have a role to play,
that I am a man
that I am a man
who is strong spiritually,
who is strong spiritually,
mentally, culturally, and physically. I am a leader for my family
I'm a leader for my family
and my community.
and my community.
I'll give back to my family
I'll give back to my family
and my community.
and my community.
I am the foundation for a stronger future.
I am the foundation for a stronger future.
Yo.
Eso, Yalata. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
listening.